Hello, everyone, and welcome to my brand new podcast called Figuring It Out, because that's what we're really doing here. A podcast is an aspect of social media that I have always wanted to try, as there are genuinely so many different varieties of things that can be spoken upon and also revisited later on if need be. That being said, I am open to having people come on the podcast to speak on things such as mental illness, past experiences, but we don't name drop. Or just your everyday routines, like how to be in tune with yourself, or all that fun stuff, because life is filled with so many different aspects that are beautiful in their own way, and I think that they need to be talked about more. This is a safe space for everyone, and I would just like to make it clear that I am aware that my situation could be incredibly different from someone who may be behind the screen listening to me. This is something that I am starting not only for myself, but for other young adults and teens, and adults as well, who may be going through a rough time. I just want to let you know that you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Experiences can be different, but feeling like ending things is very common for people when things tend to get really hard. If you're sitting behind the screen still confused, you may have never experienced harm, violence, addiction, and/or illness to that extent. Maybe you are someone who runs from chaos, but I can assure you that it is very much real. Trauma and the further development of one's mental state are things a portion of people deal with on the daily, which is why I feel it is something I should touch on our first go in this long run to come. Today we are being joined by the awesome Jason Chip, who is on his own self-love and worth journey after all of the troubles that he's faced over the course of his life.
Hello. Thank you, Kaycee, for introducing me. Hold the applause. No, I'm joking. But,
Hold the applause.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Kaycee, very much.
Of course. So today, me and Jason are going to be talking about addiction, obviously, as I touched on in my little introduction before I introduced him. But so when it comes to addiction, in the sense of marijuana, alcohol, coke, pills, I've genuinely been surrounded by all of those things. Shrooms as well, actually. I've both seen and was influenced into trying it for fun. Being surrounded by people who do not see their addiction as a problem has definitely affected me in several ways. It has definitely forced me to grow up way before I had to. When you surround yourself with people like that, it genuinely makes you experience dramatic events like clockwork, and it really makes you develop different things within yourself, such as like your own mental illnesses. Like, as for myself, I developed social anxiety from isolating myself due to all of the harm and violence that I was surrounded with, as well as depression, which obviously links to isolation. Feeling unvalued, unsafe, unloved, unwanted, or even unneeded. It definitely really put a toll on me. And
I want to say I'm sorry you went through that, of course.
Oh, that's okay. Like, you don't have to apologize, obviously. Like, everyone has their own experiences. It just helps us grow, and talking about it also helps us do that. So that's what we're doing.
100%. You just let me know whenever you're done your point, and then I'll kind of chime in. I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah. So, with all of the mental aspects It did end in me developing my own addictions. My first addiction was alcohol. Um, I had my first drink at 10, and it continued randomly, excessively from grade 11 to my second term in university. But I've been sober from it since. Um, can enjoy on occasion and not be crazy, which is actually something I'm very proud of.
Round of applause.
Yeah,
Yes,
of
good job.
course. Like we always love
Yes,
to
yeah,
see
there you
like
go. Yeah,
people
applaud yourself. You got to do that. I'm gonna be that little background noise. But
we always love to see people overcome certain addictions, and it is possible
oh yeah,
to overcome addiction. You just have to have the mindset to do it. And so I'm going to share my effects of this. When I was drinking, I was very angry and frustrated. I was easily influenced, but always aware. After time, I stopped feeling real, and the world around me became like dull. So I couldn't recognize myself. Um, there were a lot of scary nights, which eventually led to trauma, I guess. Like when you're on the bathroom floor by yourself, it is traumatic when you experience that. Um, Even family told me I wasn't myself. So right there, that was like my turning point, I guess. Like I lost friends and I didn't really care. Like I was in a state of I don't care. And when you're addicted to something, you really don't care for yourself in a sense. Um, but that was my flip to obviously become sober from that.
yeah. It's an amazing achievement. Sobriety is something that is definitely possible. It's definitely in the grasp of anybody listening. And if you're struggling with stuff, I'm sure there's help out there too. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
like a
like
support system, right? So I'm sure you can elaborate on that, Kaycee.
yeah, like you just have to have a really good support system to be able to overcome an addiction. Like and personally, like my family like at home, like they're not big drinkers, so it did actually really help me to reach sobriety, which was actually really nice.
What would be your best advice, Kaycee, to somebody who is struggling with addiction when it comes to the alcohol aspect of it, which you conquered? What would be your best advice moving forward if somebody's listening, any day and just kind of moving forward with alcohol? What was your you explained more in your turning point, but what was your point of like what helps you the most is what I'm trying to say.
Realizing that I wasn't myself. Realizing
Okay.
that all I was doing was self sabotaging and ruining all the relationships I had around me. Even my family. Like, my brothers didn't really talk to me. Like, my dad didn't really talk to me. Like, nobody really talked to me because I was just in my own world. Marijuana usage is another addiction that I do still struggle with daily. That I am working towards overcoming, obviously. I only use it for sleep and not emotions, because my recreational use has become more dangerous. And I'm going to elaborate more on this in the next category. Um, it really only numbs the feeling and makes me happy in the moment, but the come down is way harder than it usually is, which is kind of like my turning point, I guess, to being like, hey, maybe we should stop this. It does spark more creativity in me, but I slowly lose sight of myself as well, I find. Um, I experience a lot of self doubt and fear of success. Um, I do come off harsher than I would probably like as well. And I did lose brain cells from the amount of function. I do have brain fog. Like, there's no doubt. It's there.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Of course, as for each addiction, I kind of elaborate and kind of put down, Kaycee, like you're still struggling with it, like you said. What is pushing you forward? What is kind of contributing to you being better and better at this addiction when it comes to marijuana usage? Would you say is your push, your drive to do so?
I think I have started to notice when things aren't right for me. Maybe that's because I've already like overcame sobriety in like the alcohol aspect.
Thank you. I just want for the viewers kind of thing. I'm trying to go from a third person view, and what would a person that a viewer do, and that or I can't even speak, but you know what I'm saying, Kaycee, is like I'm just trying to kind of elaborate to see your growth journey and help others, right? So we have to be very detailed. We have to. So I'm definitely. I got to be a reporter in my life. I should be a reporter, honestly.
But, maybe you should.
Honest to God, I love that stuff. I appreciate that. So, want to bring up the last addiction that you wanted to refer to, of course. One that I probably struggle with, I believe.
Well, it's more like mental, and it's like more of an illness than an addiction, but it did actually kind of become an addiction, I guess. I have been struggling with an eating disorder for a little while. I grew up with more muscle than most girls, and fat jokes and comments got to my head. So I just forced myself to drink water instead of eating meals and snacks, and I was functioning off of one thing or nothing for days or weeks at a time. On top of that, I did start smoking and using nicotine because I thought that it would slim my appetite, which it did, and it really didn't help me in the way that I wanted it to, I guess, because I really got myself sick. I dropped 40 pounds in the span of 3 months, regained, lost another 20 pounds after going through extreme confusion in my last relationship and ending it. Because of this, stress levels being raised stopped me from eating. Smoking can sometimes suppress my appetite too much or cause me to forget to eat entirely. If I feel bigger than I want to be, I tend to suppress my eating. And if someone tells me I look skinny, it doesn't help me eat, even though I know I'm sick already. What I really want to say about this is you have to force yourself to take action for your health and your wealth and your future.
Because I want to point out also, Kaycee, that I actually saw, on your story, actually, as of today, the date is, I don't even know what date it is. You posted it September 4th, though, today, that we're recording this. And you posted a video actually on that self-health. And that's kind of what your page is all about, too, right? So I just kind of want to bring it to your videos, also kind of a history of what you've created, also, not just like what you're talking about, but I also want to point out to the viewers that, you've created content consistently on trying to help people with the problems that you have, which is a beautiful message and very positive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Really, there are different kinds of addictions, which can be elaborated by Jason.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So thank you for telling your story. I want to thank you very much because honestly, that is something that people need to learn more of is when someone tells you their story, that is their life, that is chapter. So you always want to thank people for that because that is like very personal. And I mean, especially to be exposed to more people, that's something more people need to do. I will elaborate an addiction that I suffered with, I think through high school and stuff. And I'm sure people who know me as Chippy in high school probably read this off me for sure, who listen, because I'm going to be posting obviously about this on my socials too. So I struggle with like people pleasing, you know what I mean? And I think that is an addiction itself. I think it stems off obviously not so much confidence in yourself, not so much belief in yourself, but also it stems from, I think also like relationships definitely have an attribute into that addiction. Going into relationships, you kind of dive yourself into it. If you're an empath like myself, and I would say you are too, Kaycee, I'm not sure, 100%, but yeah, very empathetic. And the more empathetic you are, the more you dive into something. And then tends when things go wrong or things don't work out, you're kind of left in this space where you're just like, okay, I dedicated a lot of time, a lot of effort into somebody. Now I need to find somebody else to put that effort because I have so much to give still, and I keep giving, but I never look within myself, right? And I think I did that way too much, definitely in high school. Going into it, I kind of lost myself in that. And as for addictions to drugs and alcohol and stuff, I was thankful. Like my first drink was like at like 18, 19. I'm pretty boring when it comes to that, I guess, you know.
But you were like lucky in that aspect.
Absolutely. I am 100%. I wasn't in a home of that nature of anything addiction. I was thankful for that. I definitely certain family members, had problems for sure that I ended up. So when it comes to addiction, like I have, had a little bit of interaction when it comes to certain substances and stuff, like especially myself. Like I've done the mushrooms, I've done marijuana. Marijuana has very side effects for me, very severe. Like I very sensitive to it, even like airborne. I get a little paranoia, anxiety, and when I smoke it, I become a whole different personality. I just don't. You don't even recognize me. It's hard to explain. Like people just don't understand until they see it's like 2 or 3 puffs, and it's just I don't know why my brain just doesn't work with it. So I don't tend to touch it. As for nicotine is one hell of an addiction. I definitely have that addiction. And when you brought up like the no eating, I kind of realized that as of recently, like I haven't been eating a lot, and I probably lost a lot of weight due to it, or more than I ever have. Not saying a lot compared to, I mean, your story is, a little different, of course. But for myself personally, like I definitely dived in. I will say there's times where I relied on a very serious emotional depth, and I remember that head high feeling a little bit. And I know that like everyone says they chase it, but like I don't think most people really chase it like I did at one point, because I remember being like in the bathroom at one point and just kind of huffing and huffing on a vape, and huffing it so much, in fact, like it was easily like 10, 15 puffs in a row, where it was just like so intense. Like it was just, the head rush was just too much. I couldn't even move, and it was like, this is it. Like I couldn't handle the stress that, this is the end. Yeah. And it was a really horrible position I put myself in. Now it faded away. But I remember that moment there, and I was just like, after that moment, I was like, clarity, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I got so much to live for, so much things, like, why am I in this headspace? So at that moment, like, I stopped it for a bit, on and off of nicotine. Nicotine is definitely a lot for me. I do tend to vape. I do have a vape on me actually right now, but I try to not focus on it because I tend to do it like passively and not actually like casually, so with nicotine, it kind of what helps me. I can't say what helps with nicotine because I haven't really stopped that craving. As for alcohol, I'm very social when it comes to drinking. I can I can drink quite a few drinks and just be completely fine. Remember the whole night and everything. Never have problems with that. I will actually speak on alcohol aspect of it. 2 points I want to make. One personal, more statistical, I guess, but like alcohol kills more people than like the opioid crisis, right? You can look that up. It's actually a statistical fact. It's actually kind of crazy. Alcohol, why it kills so many people, I think, is because it's so well. It's legal for one, right?
And also you can access it.
It's mainstream media, right? It's like you drink, you're cool, right? And that it parties, atmosphere, movies, TV shows. So that's one thing on alcohol. Now, I will say at 18, when I did start drinking, I ended up binge drinking. So I wouldn't drink like a lot, but when I did drink, I drank way too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was one instances when I was in my own place, I actually blacked out so badly, I ended up in the hospital, and they tried to pump me, but I ended up acting a certain way, intoxicated. So the police actually came and put me into a drunk tank. I don't remember any of this now.
Oh.
And I was so intoxicated, the police actually thought I would die. They thought I was going to die. My eyes rolled back. I didn't talk to them. So they felt my pulse. It was faint. So they brought me back to the hospital. Me being underage drinking, I could have went a lot of ways. But when I came to, I woke up in my parents' house, and I was like, I'll never forget it. Like, my sister was walking by as I woke up, and I was in a hospital gown, and I literally like woke up in my old bed, and my sister like walked by and like looked at me for a second, and did a double take, and was like, oh, he's alive. And everyone came swarming in and kind of broke down the pieces for me. And at that moment, I realized, I was like, oh my God, I'm too scared to drink at all. Because I didn't believe in a blackout. I know that's crazy, but I just didn't believe like it was possible, because I drank so much before. I was like, it's never going to happen. So at that point, I went sober for 2 years of drinking completely. I did 2 years no drinking whatsoever because I was too scared. And eventually I started getting into it and starting to learn. And I do have a really great tolerance now, and it doesn't seem to be a problem. So yeah, I can't say I was really ever addicted to something. As for mushrooms, I mean, there was definitely moments where I will say mushrooms is a little different for me, because I want to say I did them for like to escape, but mushrooms for me kind of brought me into a reality where I had to face things when I was on them before in the past. I don't know what your experience was like on mushrooms, Kaycee, but I know for me it really amplified the wrong things in my life. And I know people use that like and say like it's medicinal and it helps them think that, but oh my goodness, it was quite an experience. A few times I've done it, and it was never really enjoyable per se. Like it, you know what I mean? Like it never was really that enjoyable, because at the end of the day, it kind of like puts you in a mindset where, depending on how much you have, it kind of puts you in a headspace where you have to face what you're facing. If you're not ready to face that, it really can damage more than help. I think it needs to.
It like really does, you know what I mean? Though.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and that's my point on mushrooms is like, do I think that just like marijuana, there might be medicinal uses in the future? Yeah, possibly. I do think there's medicinal uses in a lot of plants, but do I think that just going out there and just doing it without like being prepared and being knowledgeable about how it'll affect you and stuff is a dangerous game to play with your mental health.
Absolutely.
And I think that I think you need to really know what you're getting into. You really need to, study it up. And when it comes to hard drugs and stuff, I did MDMA one time, like when I was younger, and that was a great experience. And then the come down is really, really bad on that stuff. Horrible. And that was the one time I did it. And, it was just like I can understand why somebody would be addicted to something like that. Because it was like a very peaceful experience at the moment, which sounds crazy because most people are like, it's supposed to get you like riled up, but no, I was meditated there. Like I remember, like I want to make a joke out of it, even though it's not a funny topic. Like it was, I'm not kidding you. I stayed on a couch, meditated, completely still. I looked for a second, it was nighttime. The next second I looked, it was daytime. Like hours went by like that, and I just sat there humming the whole time. Like I was completely sure. I don't know how to explain it, but it completely calmed my mind. I don't know if it's because I have ADHD or what, but I remember the next day being like, that wasn't so bad, But I remember like the calm down. My bones felt like But like I was saying, my bones felt like they were breaking. It was just horrible feeling. If you had anything dislocate before, Kaycee, you ever dislocate something before?
Actually, no.
So, and I think it's only like 30% of actual MDMA is actually MDMA. Every 70% of it is mixed with other things. I think that's statistic. I'm not sure, but don't quote me on that. But I think it's like, it definitely was with other things, right? So it was a dangerous game I was playing there, but I was young and stupid. But yeah, that's my experiences when it comes to addiction and stuff like that. I think that's a good point to make when it comes to addiction.
First off, I do want to say that I'm sorry that you went through what you went through.
Absolutely, but there's something beautiful about that, right? And there's something beautiful about this human connection that we have when it comes to just conversation. But also, I want to point out the fact that the fact that we went through this stuff is for the viewers, is for you guys that are listening. It's for you guys to adhere and listen and kind of hear from experiences and learn from it. And if you're thinking about doing certain things, definitely don't just, my advice is, and I think Kaycee will agree, I'm not going to speak for you, Kaycee, but you can jump on this bandwagon with me. Do not just believe friends. Do your own research.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
At the end of the day, friends are great. Friends are great, but friends also, we're all human. We're going to make mistakes. So friends are going to be without knowing your mental history, maybe, or knowing enough about you, they'll be oh yeah, do my experience with a friend on mushrooms where we're no longer friends. A lot happened between us. But the point was, when I did it with this friend, I actually had a very, very bad experience on it. I was burning in hell, basically. Very scary, very, very terrifying. It was horrifying. And this friend just didn't care and was I should have known then at that moment. But in that experience, I was crying on the floor, and I was I'm going to die here. And there was a dog next to me, cuddled up to me. It was great. But at that moment, I asked for my friend to help, and they were I'm going to beat you myself, basically. It was a horrible experience, like I said. So you got to know the people you're dealing with and stuff at that point. Overall, but yeah, that's my best advice, is just do your own research too. Ask professionals in the field of certain things if you're really unsure. But I think, study things up. Don't stick to if you're going to experiment, because everyone does, stick to the very small things. Don't stick to the coke, the heroin. Most people know the kind of stuff that to stay away from. But the one that people don't know to stay away from is alcohol. I think that people don't realize how dangerous that is. But I'm sure you can probably talk more on that, Kaycee, or other facts that you would like to bring up.
Alcohol is very normalized, and it is very sad that it is so normalized now, because it really does make people malicious and make them forget who they are inside, and make them do things that they may not do on a regular basis if they're not drinking. If you're going to try anything...
alcohol, it's like you said, it's normalized. It's something that is so, fun fact, history fact. They tried to ban liquor one time, it didn't work out if you look into that. Because I think it's so addictive. I think more people are addicted to it than they think they are. You know what I mean? I think people are. Why it's so popular is because it is such an addictive feeling.
People will drink once a week or twice a week and say that they don't have an addiction, but they will go every weekend. That's when you really have to stop and realize what you're doing, because going out is fun. But when you're doing it every single weekend and getting absolutely loaded and trashed, what are you really doing for yourself?
Yeah, what it is, I think it stems a lot. I think if you're a listener and you tend to realize this pattern yourself privately, of course, even if you never told anybody, my message to you is kind of you're not alone, for one. You're definitely not alone in discussing when it comes to abuse of substances. There's definitely we're definitely going to go at the end of this for sure. We'll definitely I'm sure Kaycee will have, I think Kaycee might have, if not, I'll find it, but helplines and stuff that we can, put at the end of the podcast. I'm sure you're fine with that, Kaycee?
Yeah, I do have some.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're just here to help. Yeah, no, it's definitely. One addiction that we haven't talked about yet is gambling. I mean, that's a hell of an addiction. Hey, ow, Aiden.
Gambling is actually an addiction that I never got into, which I'm so thankful for because
Thank God for you.
You know what?
Absolutely. Because
I actually do have a shopping addiction though that I've been managing. Thankfully.
Oh, see. Okay, so why don't we can definitely break down our experiences on the separate spectrum here, because you have the shopping, I have the gambling. So I've had experience with like sports, especially.
Oh yeah.
So I've definitely gone down that road before. In the past, for sure, I've definitely since quit that stuff and focused more on betterment of everything in life circumstances and stuff. You kind of quit those things and you become a lot better of a person. But if you want to break down the shopping addiction first and kind of what causes that or what it makes you feel like and stuff, and then I'll break down my thing for after if you want.
My shopping addiction, well, growing up, I was kind of always told, like, if I wanted something, like, I had to buy it. So I've always worked for everything that I've gotten, but every time I've ever gotten money, it's just gone. Because I always find something that I need or want. Like, when I was younger, I could have been so much smarter. But I wasn't. And, like, obviously when you're young, you're not smart with your money. And I am way smarter now with my money. It's just,
I agree.
Like, it was to the point where it was really bad. And I literally had no money at all, ever. Like, I just would always, like, online shop or, like, go out and buy myself something to eat or, like, anything. Like, anytime I had money, I was just, like, using my Apple Pay, whatever, with my phone. Apple Pay is so dangerous.
I was just about to say that, Kaycee. Oh my Lord. I was thinking the same shit. Dude, absolutely. Apple Pay is deadly.
Like, it's actually so dangerous. I hate that that's actually a thing, but, like, I like that it's a thing because it's so easy to pay, but at the same time, like, the convenience of it is dangerous.
So I actually met somebody who's very wealthy at a dad's group. Actually, I did dad's group with my son at one point in New Glasgow. Actually, I'm in Nova Scotia there, and I met this wealthy fella, and he gave me the best advice for shopping addiction, and you probably would love to hear it. And that's what this is all about. And you reminded me of it. So now knowing you have a shopping addiction, I should tell you this advice. It is the best advice to save money for anybody. It's crazy. So what you do is you take out like $100 from your bank account, right? And you just see that money in your hand and you keep that in your wallet and you only spend that money and you'll realize how quick money goes.
Yeah, I've actually kind of done that the last month and it has been working for me. Like, I realized that I've been able to keep more money for myself when I actually just have it in my hand rather than in a bank account. Which is so crazy.
Yeah, it definitely opened my eyes a lot on that topic too. When I took out that 100, I was like, I felt so good. I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to save so much in the bank. Now I since forgot it. Now you reminded me. Thank goodness you did, because lots of big events. I got to save money now, so I'm very thankful that you reminded me of that. So, and that's what this is all about: is kind of helping one another, whether it's me and you or whether it's the viewers and the listeners listening.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else to say about that? I want to make sure before I go on my thing.
If you have a shopping addiction, realizing you have a shopping addiction is the first step in the right direction.
The first step of all addictions. You realize you have the addiction.
Yeah, literally. Absolutely. The first step to recovery is recognizing that you have an addiction.
Yeah. Yeah, recognizing and willing to change is two separate things that I think we should definitely discuss on a deeper level too.
Yeah,
because
of course.
A lot of people who talk about addictions, they say that, right? But they don't elaborate. And what I mean by that is I think it's a big flaw in the mental health system. I think it's hugely flawed because people are like, admitting the problem is the first step. And it's like, no, that's half the step.
Yeah, it is half.
Acknowledging how you want to fix it is the second half of that step. If that's the first step, you make them feel like they've actually accomplished something, but they really haven't. It's kind of a misleading thing. I find if I tell somebody like first step is acknowledging you have a problem, you hear it, everyone's heard it before. I don't believe that. I think it's half the first step. It's not the full first step, because acknowledge you have a problem. If I tell you you've done the first step in something, you feel success, right? You feel like you've accomplished something, and that makes it less likely for you to push forward into your addiction journey. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but I am saying that like if you built like a house or you built a deck or whatever, and you built the first step, and I'll be like, oh my goodness, you built the first step, right? But you didn't actually build the exact full step. You built like part of that step. You know, it's you're still going to feel good about it. And you're going to be like, oh my God, okay, that's you'll be less likely to work harder for it because you kind of got a little bit of accomplishment. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do understand. And I've actually never thought of it that way, but it is.
I'm a very I very deeply think about things to a point where it's insane. But I think people, mental health people, need to listen to our podcast, honestly, because it's an aspect that I believe truly. I hate when people say like, I didn't hate what you said, but I hate when like professionals, especially when they should know what they're talking about, and they do. I'm not saying they don't, but I am saying that I think they should acknowledge.
There are flaws in some of the things, and you are right.
And I think that's a huge one. It's like, all right, that's half the problem. Now, are you acknowledging that you're going to fix the problem? Because people need to be held accountable for we need to be held accountable for our own actions. And I think that is something that society has wandered away from. It's like you do something, you do an action, right? You get drunk, you do something loaded and stuff. And it's like, but it's because of this problem, or it's because of, this person got me to drink. But at the end of the day, like, if we don't hold ourselves responsible for our actions, and we don't like hold ourselves to a standard, I feel like we're not respecting ourselves enough as humans. I feel like, because it's like we're not, how do I put it? We're not, it's not only taking responsibility, but we're not actually
taking accountability.
Yeah, that's the word. Thank you, Kaycee. So we're not taking accountability, and if you're not going to take accountability and you're just going to say, I think that would help the numbers. I'm not saying it would completely fix addiction. I don't think any problem is going to be fixed at all forever. I don't think that that's realistically possible, but I think the numbers can be dwindling if it's how you speak your language, how do you speak to people with problems. And I think overall, just, discussions like this need to happen, because there's so much addiction. I mean, we'll have many episodes, I'm sure, in this podcast on different topics, right? I don't want to go off topic too much because I tend to do that sometimes. I'll catch myself here. But yeah, no, I think that that's a thing that it should be taught in mental health, is like, because every mental health specialist I've talked to and known about, not that I've had addictions that severe, but every mental health specialist I know, and like even like family, say like the first step is like acknowledge you have the problem. But I think that's only half the step. And I think that that's something that more people need to be more aware of. And like you said, you haven't thought about it because it's so normalized to be like, oh, since you acknowledge the step, oh, you did the first step. That's great. Okay, now you can take your time on the second step. And it's like, for one, I mean, what are the steps? For one, let's break this down. Like, people say that's the first step, but what are the actual steps? Like, nobody really knows the actual steps of like recovery. It's like, it's kind of like,
I feel like
saying,
it's more like surrounding yourself, developing the addiction, acknowledging, and then actually putting in the work.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, when someone says like acknowledgement is the first step, right? It's like if I give you instructions for a boat, and I'm like, well, I have the instructions in my hand, but I'm like, make this boat, Kaycee, make this boat. And it's like you put two boards together. I'm like, great job, first step done. Now finish the boat. And it's like, I need the instructions. And it's like, you did the first step, so you can do it. And it's like, what? That's how addiction is treated, I think, in society. Is like, you're not being clear with instructions.
You can't be clear with instructions because everyone's development and like their progress within their addiction and how they feel is different. Is what I think.
So I know what you're saying. I absolutely get what you're saying. I know where you're coming from. And what I have to say to that is having different steps for different people is totally fine. I'm not disagreeing with that, Kaycee. But what I am disagreeing is if you just say acknowledgement is the first step and you leave it at that, that's my problem, is when just leave it at that. Now, yeah. So we agree, absolutely. But I want to clarify that. I'm glad that you brought up that point, just so people don't miscommunicate it.
Yeah,
but I do think that it's a big problem when, like, if you're a friend supporting someone with addiction. Now, professionals probably don't do this, but I am talking more of a friend or a family. If you know someone's struggling with addiction, and then you say to them, like, the first step is admitting it. Well, don't just stop there.
Yeah, like, you actually have to support them.
Yeah. Like, yeah, how are we going to fix it? You know what I mean? Like, you acknowledge it. How are we going to fix it? Because some people are like, the first step is acknowledge it. When you're ready, come to me and we'll figure out what we're going to. No. You have to like bite it in the butt right there. Like, you acknowledged it. So let's discuss it. You don't have to do it right away, but discuss how you're going to try to fix it, how you're going to go forward, right? So that's my problem. Is I think we all know family members who probably done that one time or another. They just kind of say, acknowledge the problem, and when you're ready to kind of fix it, it's like, no. Actually at least ask them. If they're not ready, then they're not ready. But at least ask them, be like, do you think you're ready to try to move forward? Like, that's a very deep question that I think everybody who suffers with addiction wants to hear from somebody that they care about. I think everybody wants to hear a little bit more care in words. And I think if more human beings cared so deeply about one another, I think that our world would be a lot better. And I think that is something that we need to work as human beings to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
That was deep. That was deep. Goosebumps. But damn, I'm a very emotional individual. But yeah, no, you continue on. I'm actually like starstruck what I said there. That was definitely quote that. Oh wow, rewind that one.
Definitely quote that.
Yeah, definitely. Put it on. That was so beautifully said. I'm so happy about that. I have such a passionate way when it comes to helping others, right? And I'm sure it comes off that way, and I can see you do too, and stuff. So yeah, we have different experiences, but we're at the end goal is to help others, and I think we're going to accomplish that today. At least one person.
One person. I hope this helps.
No, and it's not. I don't think it's. I think we'll help a lot more people than one, and I think the reason for that is not help is. It depends on what your definition of help is, right?
I feel like push in the right direction is where I was
right.
And
we're going to do that a lot. Now, when it comes to help and fix, I mean, we're only just a podcast. We're not professionals or whatever, but I think that we do have. I have this view of professionalism when it comes to therapy or anything. I think you desensitize yourself to reality. And what I mean by that is when you train so many years into something, you actually become that thing. And you lose part of your humanity. And what I mean by that is like you're so strict in the books and this is how it works and this is the protocol for this type of emotion and da-da-da-da-da. And when you're so stuck into that, you get so deep into that, you kind of lose the natural emotions that people have who aren't trained, who don't have that training, who don't have that schooling background. And I think, like, have you ever been to a therapist, Kaycee? I mean, this is a personal question, so you don't have to answer anything, but it's not personal, like deep. But have you been to a therapist where the therapist says the same thing over and over? They have the same protocol to follow? Like, it's almost like a repeat. Do you ever feel that way?
I've actually only been to one therapist, so it's been my one.
Okay, I've been to a few
one
before
and
my
only
time.
experience, and it didn't really get me anywhere. Maybe that's because I didn't really have the motivation to do it at the time.
Fair enough.
It also kind of felt like she was going by the book and not.
Well, their typical response is like, all right, tell me about yourself, and you tell your story, and that's how it usually starts, right? You tell your story, and then they break down piece by piece, like, how did that make you feel? Like, what are you gonna do moving forward and stuff? But it's like, it's just like if therapy could be more mental health people, and this is connected to addiction, of course, we'll definitely do a topic on mental health. I'm sure that'll be a great topic to do for another episode. But when it comes to addiction in general, I think I think the professionals that people guide us to, and I'm not saying don't get help and seek professionals, absolutely not. That's what you should do. But I am saying that I think professionals listen to this, if professionals do end up listening to this somehow or some way, which I want to be quoted too. I think professionals need to kind of unlearn the strictness of it, because I remember distinctly wanting help, and you can use this in any context, like when it comes to addiction. Now, mine's mental health help, right? But you can use this context to addiction or any type of help, right? For professionals, I remember distinctly like being young and like being very young and just want mental health help and go to a therapist, and then I'd ask the therapist a little bit about themselves, and they're like, "Oh, no, I can't. I'm not gonna disclose anything to you. You just tell me about your life, and I'm just gonna close off." And I know that's protocol, but I think there should be a level of professionalism, and then there's a level of like human. You know what I mean? Like when I have a conversation with you, Kaycee, and we talk, you tell me a little bit about yourself, I tell you a little bit about myself, and that's what makes. I feel like that connection there,
human connection, and it's human necessary.
connection, and protocol says that you can't do that because like confidentiality and stuff, but it doesn't make sense. Like if I just ask like, do you have kids? Like that is such a broad question. It's not asking their kids' names. It's not asking. It's just like, if I'm talking about my parenting and stuff to a therapist, I'm like, oh, do you have kids? And they answer like, oh, no, this is about you, not me. And it's like, okay, well, the human connection's not there. So what is the point of me being here just to spill my problems and you tell me to take deep breaths? Like, if
do this and you'll be okay. Like,
but like, even therapists go to therapy, right? You know what I mean? So it's just a view of mine. It's a little jumbled, I know, but I've made my point clear on what I think about professionalism, and I think that going to school, if you're planning to go to school for psychology or something, I think you need to continuously try to build connections throughout your schooling with individuals, because I think you will lose your ability to connect with people on a better level. Is my best advice.
Yeah, you always have to connect with people if you want to be able to have that human connection, if you want to be able to essentially be real, because if not, you're just going to be a robot. Like, if you just isolate yourself continuously and you don't see people for months at a time, when you get out of that, you are going to act like a robot because you don't remember how to function properly as a human. I'm gonna go over the definition of addiction, and then we're gonna get a little bit more into the effects of smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol, because I did do some actual research, and this is not just all based on our personal experiences with it. This is on a Canadian website, by the way.
Yeah, you can cite the sources, I guess, if you want. It's up to you.
Well, I don't have the site, but it's from like Government of Canada Mental Health.
Oh yeah, that's the site. Government of Canada's one site. Don't worry, you're good. You're covered.
Or something. I don't know. Anyway, the definition of addiction is a chronic condition that involves compulsive seeking and taking of a substance or performing of an activity despite negative or harmful consequences. It impacts your health, relationships, and the overall quality of the life you have. So, getting it a little bit into smoking marijuana, it causes both physical and emotional instability due to reliance to the drug. If you have a background in addiction, it is very likely that you may eventually develop an addiction to marijuana. But only 1 in 11 people, so 9% of people, develop an addiction to marijuana in Canada. If you use it daily, your percentage of addiction is around 25 to 50%. So you're at the higher rate. If you're using this to numb, it will most certainly have major problematic issues, like failing to do major duties at work and home and school, giving up social, occupational, and recreational activities, consuming it often and in larger amounts or longer than you intended to, being unable to cut down or control the addiction. The harm is real with addiction. For this, Cannabis usage can be led to a state of psychosis if you can't learn to manage it. Telling yourself you aren't going anywhere and saying how much you love yourself can beat the PTSD process, although it does take bravery, strength, and courage to do this. Now, with the drinking aspect, it is linked to many health and social consequences, such as interference with personal relationships, heart and liver disease, cancers, motor vehicle collisions and other accidents, alcohol overdose, violence, homicide, and suicide. All organs affected by alcohol consumption are the brain, the gut, the pancreas, the lungs. Examples of this are acute respiratory disease, distress syndrome and pneumonia, the cardiovascular system, and the immune system, which would be dysregulation. Bones with reduced bone density and muscles, myopathy. Yeah, and I did touch on, obviously, overcoming drinking is very hard, but there are, services that you can call and places that you can go to with support groups that can help you overcome this addiction.
Well, the Kids Help Phone is for 28 and under, so even if you're not a kid, it's for 28 and under individuals. It's a resource for therapists, anytime, 24/7. Resource for individuals. I've used it myself. I'm not ashamed. It's just someone to talk to in the moment, kind of thing. If you're, there's also, obviously in emergency situations, 911, of course, we all know that. Kind of thing. That's the best kind of thing, and resource for that.
The Kids Help Phone is 1-800-668-6808 or text 686-6868. Drug rehab services are free with confidential professional help with resources for drug and alcohol addiction in Canada. Referrals for clients seeking support with substances. Call 1-877-254-3348. CAPSA peer support is literally just like AA or NA, but in person or virtual meetings with a support group that you can apply to online.
Beautiful.
The number for Narcotics Anonymous is 1-855-562-2262. Families for Addiction Recovery. Access free support within each province or territory. Telephone and online or text services. Telephone and online or text services, English and French. Trained specialists can provide counseling, help develop a quitting plan, and answer questions, and provide referrals to programs and services in your community. And the number for this is 1-866-366-3667. Harm reduction and overdose prevention services. So the National OD hotline is 1-888-688-NORS, so 6677, which is for obvious reasons, I guess.
Yeah, of course, no worries. So there's, I found some other resources there. Is that all the resources you have? I just want to make sure.
You can also get the overdose intervention app with a 911 feature and rapid response time, which is for your obvious reasons. Anyway, I also have supervised consumption sites and services, which you can find online.
Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, I just found actually there's just like Kids Help Phone, there's another one actually for all ages of adults listening to like above the age of 28, which I would just want to say it's Wellness Together Canada, which is one-on-one counseling 24/7 of substance use disorders and mental health treatment. So the adults is 1-866-585-0445. That's 1-866-585-0445. So that's Wellness Together. That's for anybody over the age of 28 that, just in case we were trying to get the whole aspect, we covered everybody. So yeah, that's great. And I'm so thankful for this discussion. I think we both learned a lot.
Yeah, I
think it went really well. If anyone listening has any suggestions for topics that we both should discuss together, definitely comment on one of our videos or something. We'll be in touch.
Of course. Like, we're so open to any feedback.
But yeah, that's a wrap for the episode.
That's a wrap, guys.
So I hope you guys enjoyed me and Kaycee's little mental health adventure here. Growth and the things that she said at the start that I definitely remember. She said growth and something else, but she said three things.
Self-worth.
What?
Self-worth.
Yep, that's something I have. Absolutely.
Like self-love.
Well, we'll definitely have to do. Those should be actually topics. Definitely, we cover each piece by piece. Absolutely, like a self-love journey thing or something. That'd be a beautiful episode. But yeah, people can comment and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I've said all I said. I think we went through that.
I have like one thing written here, and it's like it has like 4 points, and I didn't even say that. Well, I guess I kind of did say that, but I didn't like elaborate. So becoming an addict changes all the true aspects within oneself, destroys self-worth, values, goals, etc., shrinks the ability to be authentically yourself and make the best decisions, causes you to love bomb the ones you love just to go silent on them when they need you, and causes different mental stressors and disorders. So if you are struggling with an addiction to something, you might have to step back and do a little bit of self-reflection